Hey folks, as someone who's been a huge Digimon fan pretty much my entire life, I am excited for most news relating to Digimon, but the announcement of Digimon's story Time Stranger a few days ago was particularly exciting as up until now we've heard very little about the game for absolutely years, so let's talk about what we know and what I would like to see out of the game when it releases sometime later this year. Let's start with what we know. We've known for a long time that the game will take place on the Iliad server, which is part of the digital world that's not governed by Yggdrasil and the Royal Knights, like we most commonly see in Digimon media. But instead it's governed by the Olympus 12, which are Digimon based on the gods of Olympus from Greek myth, as well as Homeros, which is Yggdrasil's counterpart host computer for the Iliad server. The Olympus 12 use their Roman names, so for example, instead of Zeusmon, we have Jupitermon. Jupitermon is of particular relevance as his champion form Aegiomon is shown in the trailer, and from images taken from the Steam page, we can see that he joins our team at some point, perhaps like a guest party member like we had in previous games. The trailer hints at an apocalypse looming over parallel worlds, so the game may involve us traveling through different digital or human worlds. This being a story game and not a world game, that means that it will be a JRPG with 3 versus 3 fights, where we don't have to take care of our Digimon in the VPET style that the world games employ. It looks like there'll be rideable Digimon, but personally I think it'll just be set NPCs and there won't be a large amount of rideable Digimon that we can choose from. Now I'm going to talk about what I'd like to see the new game include. I'm not going to go over every Digimon I'd like to see because this video would be very long if I did, but I would like to at least see the trio from Ghost Game included, so Gamamon, Jellymon, and Angoramon, as well as Pulsemon and Lugurmon from the Digimon Seekers novels, and all of their respective Digivolution lines would come with that as well. I think we should get Gamamon and Lugumon, but anything more than that would be a surprise, but definitely a welcome one. There are quite a few new Digimon from Digimon Liberator, but I think that these are likely too new to be in the game initially, and perhaps they'll be added later as DLC, but yeah, I would be surprised if they were in there from the beginning. I'd love to see Harrismon from Digimon Heroes. I don't think he's been in anything since then, and I absolutely love the design of Harrismon. I think he's a really cool, probably one of my favorite Digimon they've released in recent years, and he would be an instant addition to my party in game. I'm a huge fan of Bloom Lordmon, so I hope to see him as well. And Shin Monzimon, Monzimon's Mega Evolution, is probably old enough that we could see him included as well. That'd be pretty cool. Nidhoggmon is also a Digimon I would definitely like in my party as well. I could go on, but let's look at a few other things. I thought it would be pretty funny if Tai and Agumon from the Digimon Adventure reboot show up. Like, you know how there was all those memes around the time the reboot was airing where Tai was showing up everywhere? Yeah, they could have him appear from like a bush somewhere, and I just think that would be a pretty funny reference. It would also make a lot of sense for Ryu to show up in this game due to his appearance in Digimon Tamers, making him kind of like a time traveler, or at least someone who's been in different parallel worlds. He could be at least referenced by an NPC. Maybe it could be a Monodramon NPC who could mention running into a tamer that also had a Monodramon, and then he merged with it to become a superhero looking Digimon. I think that would be a cool little moment for the game, and stuff like that adds a lot of things for fans, and it would mean a lot to know that they're kind of paying attention to other media within the franchise. In terms of actual game mechanics, I hope they improve the Digivolution requirements, as in Cybersleep and Hacker's Memory, some of the requirements to get Digimon were a bit annoying without grinding out the Digiform. For example, sometimes you would need, say, 200 defense on a Digimon that naturally doesn't get a lot of defense stats. So to Digivolve it, then you would have to put it into your farm and train it up and wait real life hours for it to reach the stat requirement that it needs. And even then, sometimes its ABI would be too low to get the required number of stats. So then you'd have to degenerate it and Digivolve it back up and then do it all again, which was kind of a long process to get Digimon sometimes. I think it's okay to do that for megas and ultras because you're kind of getting that extra power, so you have to put in that extra bit of work. But I think there was a lot of champions and ultimates in the game that required it as well, and it was just a bit much and a bit annoying for me. I'd also like to see them expand on the abilities that Digimon can have and make it a little bit more like Pokemon, where they can kind of influence fights and, potentially apply status effects and things. The abilities that we got were kind of just stat increases, just really generic, like 10% more attack or something like that. And sometimes they increased the damage that certain types of moves did. But overall, there wasn't really that much variety, and they didn't really have any noticeable effects on the battles playing out. I do hope they nerf penetration attacks, or at least make it so that bosses are more vulnerable to regular attacks or status effects, as many of the bosses in Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory were completely immune to status effects, making it pretty pointless to have those attacks in your party outside of regular fights. A lot of Digimon felt quite weak compared to Digimon that had penetrating attacks because the penetration attacks were so good against bosses, and so it kind of limited the amount of options that you felt like using. I'm still holding out hope that one day we'll get a Digimon style Persona game, but until then, I'm very excited for Time Stranger, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it, even if none of anything I've mentioned here is included. Let me know what you would like to see in Digimon Story Time Stranger in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.